Na 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 na.
That's enough, Zane. That's enough.
Sorry,
you got to introduce the show.
I am your captain, Taicho Zane, reporting for duty, and today I've completely lost myself in that intro.
And I'm Gentlemanly Gamer. Hello, everyone out there. Did you enjoy our rendition of the 90s X-Men cartoon? I hope you did, because if you couldn't tell what that was, it wasn't just us having some kind of a seizure. It was us recreating the beautiful intro from the X-Men cartoons of the 90s. How are you, Zane?
I am very well, thank you, after that orchestral
magnificence.
Yeah, like, you know, I can't remember the last time I had to go to such an octane with my voice.
I was going to say the underpants went extra tight for that one. I could tell it was good. It was good. You're listening to the Undisputed Nerds Podcast, by the way, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We do this every week, and every week we lose more and more of our minds.
Join us in the rabbit hole. It's fun.
That's what she said. No, never mind. No, ignore that. Ignore that.
Grant said.
Damn right you did. Right on the scale, down in Spice World. But Zane, how has your week been? Have you had a good week?
Yeah, I'd say it's been a good week. I watched The Eternals, which we'll get onto later on.
Is that a good week? I don't know. Spoilers ahead, guys. Is that a good week?
How about you? How's your week been?
Oh, it's been great. I watched The Eternals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've had all week off work this week. It's been a lovely vacation, except for the fact that I haven't been away anywhere. So I've just been wandering around the flat in my pants, ignoring housework. So, and as on a personal note, suffering the crippling disappointment of the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy remaster, which came out this week.
Yeah.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
For anyone out there who is undecided as to whether to buy it or not, at £60 in the UK, wow. Don't buy it. Do not buy it. It is not worth £60. I can 100% confirm that. If you want to know what it's like, spend either £1 or £10 getting the Xbox Games Pass and play it on there, because they've got San Andreas remastered on there, which is what I did, and I'm so glad I didn't buy it.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was 60 quid.
Yeah, it's full whack. They put full whack because they know that you can't get it anywhere else now, because they've taken off all other versions of the games from every content store. So you cannot get the original versions of the game anymore. You can only get the remastered version, which is, I mean, look, it's still Grand Theft Auto, like the Grand Theft Auto we grew up loving, but like, it's not great, man. Like the character models, especially in San Andreas, are not good. Not good. CJ looks very weird. He looks like some kind of amorphous giraffe sometimes. It's really weird.
Oh dear.
Anyway.
Well,
this has been your consumer advice from the Gentlemanly Gamer.
Well then, talking of advice, why don't you give us some tips and bits whilst you're at it?
Oh, you want me to go straight in with the hot tips and bits? Is that what you're after, please, Mr. Tide Show, if that is your real name? Oh, unbelievable. Well, guys, I mean, it has been an interesting week, to say the least. There has been a lot of news. We'll touch very, very lightly on the news that was announced today. Yes. Today, literally before we just started, which is that it has been announced that there's been a load of reveals, basically, from the Disney Plus stuff. So obviously She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, I Am Groot, and more. They've all got logos. I think Miss Marvel's been confirmed for summer 2022 as the premiere. But in one of the most exciting moves of all, X-Men, the animated series, the cartoon from the early 90s that I think it's very safe to say a lot of us grew up with, will be coming back. It is coming back to our screens for a revival titled X-Men 97. That is going to be the name of it. X-Men 97, an animated original series coming in 2023 to Disney Plus.
Wow. Like, I'm speechless. Like, you know, I wouldn't have put money on this. If anything was going to get revisited, I would say probably X-Men Evolution, because it was so recent.
It's a good series, that as well.
Yeah, it's a great series.
It wasn't recent though. Like Evolution's like 2000 to 2005.
Yeah, I suppose so.
We're old, Zane. We're old. I was born in the 80s. We're old.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But interesting though. Like, I wonder where they'll go with it, because like it adapted so many like iconic story runs. You know, like Phoenix Saga, and they did they do
Days of Future Past? Yeah, they did. Yeah. That's how Bishop is in it. That's the whole Bishop storyline. They didn't do Age of Apocalypse. That was the one thing I was kind of sad they didn't ever do. They did the Legacy virus and you know, the what's it called? I can't remember what the thing is called. But they did, they've done loads of really good stories. Like they did Proteus as well, Moira McTaggart's son, who could literally warp all of reality to his will. And portrayed him really dangerously. Yeah, X-Men cartoon was amazing, and like I think it's safe to say that coupled with, well, I know from my point of view, that show coupled with the Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man TV series, which was a cartoon around the same time, that got me into comic book characters and superheroes. That those two shows are the reason, and the Batman show as well, the Batman animated series. Like Batman 89, when I saw that for the first time and I saw realism, that's what turned me into like a solid comic book fan. But like those series definitely got me into it. So yeah, very exciting to see what they do with it. I wonder if it means that we're going to get the mutants coming sooner than we thought, because they don't tend to release stuff on Disney Plus unless it's supported by something else. Like they brought out all the Spider-Man series the last time they had a Spider-Man film coming out. So like all the I think, I can't remember whether it was for No Way Home or whether it was a little bit after that for Endgame or stuff, but like all the Spider-Man shows came out onto Disney Plus when there was a new Spider-Man stuff. So they normally like to tie it into content. So if 2023 it is, will we see a mutant soon?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because like you said, just an example, DC do it a lot where it's almost like an education piece to the audience, where a couple, like say 7 years ago, no one knew who Deathstroke was, but then Deathstroke was in Arrow, then the Titans show, and then, do you know what I mean? It's just kind of like he started popping up in every property. Yes. And then, you know, when it came to the big reveal at the end of Batman v Superman, everyone already knows who Deathstroke is, so they'll be like, oh, it's him, you know, sort of thing. So interesting note as well. Did you notice that they've also this was a little thing that it's not huge news, but they've now removed, so if you go into Disney Plus and you look at the Marvel section of Disney Plus, because you know they've got their own Star Wars, they've got like the stars, and they've got the original, it used to have the original Avengers on there, so you used to have the 6, and it's gone. They're not there anymore. It's now the Phase 2 heroes. So it's like flanked by Captain America, Falcon, and then you've got Loki next to him, and you've got Captain Marvel on the other side. I think Thor is like on the outskirts of it. Wanda is there, and Doctor Strange is there as well. But it's interesting to see that it's like they've changed the lineup, and it looks like it's all the new Phase like heroes there. I see. Yeah.
Wow. There you go. Yeah, these times they are changing. But yeah, anyway, super pumped for that. Like, really, really excited. It was the rap that confirmed it, by the way, just to give the credit. But sometime in 2023. There's no confirmation yet. Yeah. But obviously it was bought as part of the Fox deal. So there you go. Apparently as well, I just read this very briefly. Some of the cast members are actually returning.
Oh, amazing.
So the voice of Wolverine's coming back. The same voice as Rogue. Beast, excellent, because that was an awesome voice. Yeah. Mr. Sinister's coming back.
Wow.
Jean Grey is coming back. Gambit is the same. That's fucking great. Storm is coming back, and so is Jubilee. So all those characters are the same. They'll be the same voices. That's great. Well, we'll cut that. All right, moving on before I do anything else. So let's look now. Zane, I need your assistance. I did send you a little picture earlier on that we're going to see. So David Ayer continues to fuel the fire of the special Ayer cut of or Ayer. How do you say it? I don't know how you say it.
Both. Why not?
He wants his Ayer cut released of the Suicide Squad, and as a way to tease the masses and tempt them, he has released a new look at Jared Leto's Joker as a concept of what he could have looked like in the film. For those of you watching on YouTube right now, feast your eyes. For those of you who are listening to it, I will say it looks rubbish. It looks like Willy Wonka on crack. That's my first impression of this. It looks really weird. What are your thoughts, Zane?
Yeah, it's bizarre that he's got, if I'm seeing that correctly, he's got ha 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 tattooed as eyebrows.
Eyebrows, yep.
And then almost like a marker pen for a smiley face over, like over his, not on his lips, but around his lips, I guess to say.
Yes.
But more interestingly, I don't know if this was in the final cut, but he's got that J tattoo on his cheek.
I don't think it was because he had damaged on his forehead in the final cut.
That's right, yeah.
Hang on, Joker Suicide Squad. Oh god, it makes me feel dirty typing that into a Google search. I'd be more proud of the porn that I've got on there. Man, that's a horrible thing to type in. He does have that J tattoo. He does.
Okay.
In the final cut. So if I send you this, I guess this is probably the best representation of it. Let's just get that image. Hopefully this works for you. So this is an actual still from the Suicide Squad itself. So we can kind of do a bit of a comparison as to what he ended up like. But they definitely toned down the facial tats.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So yeah, he does have the J on his cheek. I mean, my biggest question to you on this one, Zane, is talking about the Ayer cut and talking about the Suicide Squad. You and I both confirmed, although I haven't seen the whole thing, I've seen enough of it to know. But the Snyder cut Justice League was a vast improvement on the original Justice League. So we could all agree that we believe that the Suicide Squad had a lot of producer interference, which made it so higgledy-piggledy terrible.
Yeah.
Does seeing that image intrigue you into wanting to see the Ayer cut?
No, like I'm all for, creative control and everything along those lines, but I can't imagine that it's groundbreaking. And another thing as well, I don't know if you've already seen this, but some of the original script got leaked, and some of it is just like really bad. Like how he talks about putting a blade in Harley's mouth before she becomes Harley Quinn, like when she's still Dr. Quinzel and stuff. And it just sounds really like,
I mean, maybe that's the reason why Jared Leto decided to use condoms and rats to people on the set. You never know. Which he's also come out and denied that he did. Apparently, that's even though Margot Robbie apparently kept the rat that he sent her. Did you read that?
No, I didn't read that.
There was like a thing where it's like she had an interview and she said I can't remember what she called the rat, but she kept it as a pet after he sent it to her. She really liked it.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, well, she's crazy. So there you go. Anyway, I'm not in any rush to see the Ayer cut of the Suicide Squad, and I think that picture that he has posted makes me even less interested, to be perfectly blunt. What do you guys think out there? Let us know. So moving on swiftly. So we've got a couple of. There's been quite a lot of Well, there's been a lot of Eternals news this week, as surprisingly you would expect, because it's just come out. So we'll cover that in a second. But there's also been quite a bit of Spider-Man stuff going on this week. So obviously, there's been rumors about a new trailer that's supposed to be dropped, which I won't go into the full details, but apparently Tobey Maguire's lawyers have blocked it.
No.
Apparently so. That's the rumor that's going right now. But speaking of another Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, he's been doing the press rounds to discuss his latest Netflix movie, Tick, Tick, Boom. And inevitably, he's obviously been asked questions about Spider-Man. So Tom Holland was recently cited in an interview with, I think it was with Extra TV or something like that. But he said that it was 3 generations coming together, which Tom Holland has said, clarified that as saying he's talking about the villains. He's talking about Electro, Doc Ock, and then, his villains. That's what he's talking about.
Of course.
Now, Andrew Garfield was asked on the red carpet by the same company what his thoughts were on these comments. And this is a direct quote from Andrew Garfield. I'm not going to blink. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to do this now. And then Garfield, he basically, the lady had asked him, blink once for yes and blink twice for no. And he said, I'm not going to do any of that. And then afterwards, he clarified it and said this. I really love what that whole team have done with the character. I really love what John Watts has done, what Tom has done, and what Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige have done with this incarnation of the character. And they have given it so much soul and so much fun and joy, and it's so true to the character. I will say this. I'm very excited to see what they've done with their 3rd installment. I blinked a little bit, but it was totally accidental. I take no ownership over it. Okay, he is 100% in this. Like, there's no doubt in my mind at all. But fair enough, like, for him to keep it ambiguous and actually be like, I'm not telling you. I think when that trailer drops, it's going to reveal a lot of stuff, I think. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Andrew Garfield? Based on his reaction there, I will say, rewatching Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, they're not as bad as I remember them being at all. And I think he was actually pretty all right as Spider-Man. He just did not have the best material. But what are your thoughts, Zane?
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I know it's not for everyone. Everyone has it's a bit like Doctor Who. Everyone has their own Spider-Man and such. I really do hope he's in this. And like you said, I really hope if he is in this, it will kind of put some credit back on to his version of Spider-Man and everything else.
I agree.
So yeah,
I personally think his version. I think this is going to be very controversial, so we're going to get comments probably saying I apologize, but no. I don't think Tobey Maguire should be featured very heavily in this film at all. I think he should be. I think he should be in it. I think that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man should be the mentor figure to Peter in this film. I think it should be in a similar way that they did with Into the Spider-Verse, where you had this Peter from another dimension who he wasn't with MJ anymore. He'd been through it. He was fat and old, basically, for lack of a better word. And he got his stuff together to be Mars's mentor. I think it should be exactly the same thing for this film with that Andrew Garfield, because that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man has been through a lot. He's properly, whether or not he was responsible for Gwen's death, he's gone through it.
Even if they do a mini retcon and he dyes his hair blonde and he's like, I'm the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. I'd be like, great. Yeah, book it. I'm all here for it. Yeah. Plus,
we can all agree that he's been through the most trauma of all the Spider-Men because he's seen Paul Giamatti in his pants. So, moving on. This is the hot rumor that I was looking forward to talking to you about this week. So, obviously, still within the Spider-Man vein, excitement is building for it. But people are questioning what's going to come next, Zane. What's going to happen next? We've got Venom in the MCU now, seemingly. Spoilers, guys, for Venom if you haven't seen it yet. And obviously Sony are going to keep churning out Spider-Man movies. However, an interesting rumor this week, and it comes from a Twitter user, and he's known as a main middleman, at main middleman, and he's normally quite reliable on his intel when it comes to Sony and Spider-Man properties.
Yeah.
We all know that Spider-Woman is in development with Olivia Wilde set to direct, but a new rumor suggests that Jessica Drew could join Peter as part of the MCU. So it's said that for at least the first film, Spider-Woman may follow the same line as Spider-Man in the MCU, being under the Marvel Studios label in association with Sony Pictures in an attempt to have her more at home around the universe.
Ooh.
So we might well be getting Spider-Woman in the Avengers, which I am all for. I think that would be amazing. Plus her powers are kind of, we haven't really seen her powers. She's got kind of like toxic venom blasts, and she's got the ability to fly. She also has the ability to turn invisible, as far as I'm aware. I think she can go invisible, possibly, in some iterations. I may be muddling up my Spider-Woman there. But what are your thoughts on that, buddy? I definitely want to see Spider-Woman, me personally, in the MCU. What about you? Yeah,
same, because knowing that she has such a rich past in terms of working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and taking on Hydra as an agent and things like that, it only makes sense that she would be in the MCU. Sort of thing. So, yeah. And, you know, they could spin sort of, what am I trying to say? They can do other extensions as well, knowing that in sort of recent comics, she's like trained Arachnid.
Yes.
So that'd be really cool to see if they do that again further down the line. But still, like you said, Jessica Drew's known for being an Avenger and being on New Avengers and such as well. So yeah,
take it with a pinch of salt, guys. But that guy's he's quite a resourceful rumor mill. It's quite reliable what he normally puts out there. So I think he was one of the first people that broke the Alfred Millionaire Doc Ock rumors. Wow. Yeah, he's quite reliable. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that was him. So moving on, we obviously are gonna do a review of Eternals and talk about it a bit more. There's been quite a lot of stuff coming out from the Eternals this week after the fallout of the film being released, and it's done very well at the box office. I think it's currently the 4th most successful pandemic era film, which I know that doesn't sound like much, but that's actually quite impressive, all things being considered. It's been divisive, to say the least. Critics don't like it. Audiences do. Critically speaking, it is the worst reviewed Marvel film in history, behind Thor: The Dark World. We're not counting the Inhumans in this. However, I segue onto it very nicely because the Eternal screenwriters, Kaz and Ryan Firpo, they've actually revealed that they wanted to originally set some of the action in Hawaii in the Eternals. However, they couldn't do it, and I quote, because ABC's Inhumans totally burned that bridge with Hawaii.
No way.
So let me read out the full quote. So Marvel Studios appears to have no plans to revisit the Inhumans, and based on comments from Eternals writer Kaz and Ryan Firpo, they won't even consider shooting in the show's setting of Hawaii. In the Marvel universe, this is a direct quote from Kaz. In the Marvel universe, there's a lot of synergy, but also individuals telling great stories. There isn't this algorithm that makes Marvel movies great. They hire people who love what they do and let them do what they love. For us, Inhumans was part of that conversation only insofar as, and this is a true story, they said, you can't go to Hawaii. Nobody gets to go to Hawaii because Inhumans totally burnt that bridge. Beyond that, there wasn't someone saying, like, we can't do this, we can't do that. The door really was open for us. And then Ryan added to the point, revealing that Marvel Television, already exploring the concept of aliens hiding on Earth, never factored into their approach to the Eternals. And then this is a quote, I didn't know about Inhumans when we first went in. They were telling us about Eternals. I was like, this would be a good TV show. Later, I learned they kind of tried it on TV already. I don't know how much it influenced the film. It was just a different era, a different team, a totally different project. So that is interesting to me for 2 reasons. Firstly, obviously, bye-bye Hawaii. It doesn't exist in the universe anymore. Yeah. You'll never see anything there. The second thing is that they're doing a TV show about an Inhuman, because Ms. Marvel is an Inhuman.
Yes.
Kamala Khan is an Inhuman, and how do you avoid talking about Inhumans when she is an Inhuman? Unless they go, this is what I was thinking. Unless they're going to make her a mutant.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation around Miss Marvel recently because, like you said in your tips and bits, like they delaying Miss Marvel, and there's been a bit of backlash with some of the artwork and posters because it looks like it's not her normal sort of stretchy embiggening powers. It's more like constructs like Green Lantern.
Yes.
So it sounds like they're really changing a lot with Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to change her origin as well. I think she's going to be a mutant, and this is going to be the introduction of mutants into the MCU. I think that's what they're going to do because, from the sounds of this, they don't want nothing to do with Inhumans anymore. That, to quote, that bridge is burned 100% down to the ground. Which makes sense, which is probably why there's no there's no mention of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. either, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was so entwined with the Inhumans as well, with Quake and, Yo-Yo and all these other Inhumans that were in it. So, interesting. So, moving on. So, furthering the Eternals news, let's talk about the potential sequel, which there probably will be, let's face it, based around the numbers, because it has made a boatload of money. That's normally all there is required to get a sequel. Yeah. It's yet to be greenlit, but this was another quote from Kaz Furpo talking to the Direct, and he was basically saying, well, if the sequel is confirmed, and if they do it, it sounds like they will have to put Thanos in it. Oh. So Kaz Furpo has said, I believe that there is no way that you can do Eternals 2 and 3 without somehow touching on Mr. Brolin. Obviously, Josh Brolin plays Thanos. Now, without wanting to get too much into detail about it, because we'll talk about it in the actual review, but the post-credit sequence, it does feature... spoilers, guys, for the Eternals right away. It does feature Eros, who is otherwise known as Star Fox, played by Harry Styles, and he is the half brother of Thanos. There is no way that you can do that without introducing them. There's just no way. And so it looks like potentially we might get old, as my wife calls him, T-Hands back.
T-Hands, okay. It's
because in the Marvel pinball game they display his name, but it like the T is like separate out from the rest of it, and the O looks like a D, so it looks like his introduction is like, "Hey, it's T-Hands, boom, baby!"
Wow.
And she obviously doesn't know. My wife is not a nerd in any shape, way, or form. She's a nerd for stationery, but she's not a nerd for Marvel. So that's why. So yeah, T-Hands is what I refer to him as sometimes. But we might be seeing old T-Hands returning to the Marvel Universe. Thoughts?
It has to be flashbacks.
Well, yeah, he is dead, so yeah.
Yeah, the only way is like flashbacks. And unless they do multiverse stuff, but
dimensional stuff.
That's a lot to explain on top of Eternals stuff.
What, you mean Eternals story was all over the place? Yeah, you're right. I agree. We'll come on to that, guys. There's the hook. I mean, I think they could very much do it with a Eros and Star Fox. Eros, aka Star Fox, growing up with Thanos, or not growing up with, but you know what I mean, being that connection there and how it influenced things. Or maybe Thanos' involvement with the Celestials, and how that, because obviously he was responsible for not birthing a Celestial sooner than was ready because of the blip. So, I don't know, maybe. But yeah, fascinating. I'd be very happy to see Josh Brolin back. I think Josh Brolin's performance as Thanos is one of the absolute standout performances of the entire MCU.
We know he'll come back because he's already come back for voice work in What If.
That's true.
So
he really enjoyed being Thanos, from what I can tell. He really loved it. Like, he got to wear a lovely elasticy suit and a pole on his head. And that was it. That's all he had to do every day, was just basically get into a leotard and walk to work. He really enjoyed it, from what I can gather. So yeah, I'd be happy to see Thanos back for a sequel.
Yeah, definitely.
And in the final bit of news that I've got today, just to talk about some speculation for the future, we've got One Take News is reporting that, based on the overwhelming financial success, at least, of the Eternals, Chloe Zhao is being lined up to direct Kevin Feige's rumored Star Wars film.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Ooh,
Thoughts?
that's interesting. So, we know Brie Larson. Kevin Feige's bringing Brie Larson into his Star Wars. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Zoe Chow is Oscar-winning director as well. So
she is. Yep.
You put that name.
Nomadland is amazing, by the way. If you haven't seen it, go and watch Nomadland. It's incredible.
You put that name on any movie, it's already going to be a high-caliber movie, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is so One Take News have reported this, but it's worth noting that a number of other very reliable sources, including Jordan Mason, actually, who's a very reliable source, they've all been saying the same thing, that she's in final talks to direct this mystery project that Feige's doing for I can't remember what Kathleen, what's her name, the Star Wars lady. I can't remember what her name is. Kathleen Kennedy.
I think I know who you mean. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, we've heard nothing about this plot, what's going to happen. Although, and this is also the other part that excited me as well, the Loki head writer Michael Waldron has been working on the screenplay for it.
Oh wow, that is exciting.
Yeah, so you've got Feige working on it. You've potentially got Chloe Zhao to direct. You've got the guy who wrote Loki, which we can all agree Loki was phenomenal.
Yeah, wow.
Brie Larson, I can take her or leave her. But yeah, you see what I mean? This is why it's getting exciting now. Like, oh my God, can you imagine if it's the Old Republic as well? I would lose my mind, Zane. I would lose it. It took all of my will not to swear then. It would, honestly, if this is an origin story for, like, if Brie Larson is Bastila and it's an origin story for Revan, oh my God, or Darth Bane. Oh my God, imagine if it was Darth Bane.
Darth Bane would be a great way to go.
And Brie Larson's Darth Zauner as well. That would be so good. So yeah, very exciting. It won't be any of those, by the way. I'm just putting it out there. It'll probably be Feige will probably want to look at the Cantina underworld, and it'll be like, you know, the missing legacy of Bib Fortuna.
Oh wow.
You know,
isn't that what Boba Fett is now? That whole
no spoilers. Just
sorry,
let it sit
Dave
there. Just let it sit there, Zane. Let it sit there. All right. The seedy underworld of spice and cantinas. That's what I want to see. And those weird, what are those weird snoot players that are in the you know, they play the weird thing and they've got their face. It just looks like they've had a sour lemon, which has just impacted their face in. What's like that?
I couldn't tell you the name, but I know they love to play that one song.
Yeah, exactly. That's not actually them playing it. That's an involuntary exhalation because of the spice that they've taken. That's what it does to them. So there you go, Zane. That's all the tips and bits for this week. Let's get on to the main event, and this is going to be painful for me because, well, it was the Eternals, wasn't it?
It was the Eternals. As you mentioned previously, directed by Zoe Chow, and a plethora of cast members.
I should just say as well, if there was any news that I missed this week, guys, or anything that you wanted to see brought up, get in contact with us on all the usual channels and tell me how wrong I am. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, the Eternals. Should we go straight in? We'll go straight into spoilers. We've already talked about spoilery things.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Yeah. I guess the first question is undisputed or disputed?
Disputed.
Yeah.
For me, personally, yeah. I wasn't a fan of this one, I'm afraid. But what about you?
I would say Undisputed, only because I'd happily watch it again.
See, that's the thing. I think for me, it would be a slog for me to get through it again. I really didn't. I didn't like this. Like, it was just, it wasn't anything like. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like Suicide Squad level bad or anything like that. It was not. It was not horrifically terrible.
No, it wasn't a terrible film.
It just, speaking very personally, it just didn't flow for me at all. It was a hard slog to get through, and by the time we got to the end of it, I was just like, oh my god, thank god it's over. And that's never a good sign when you're sitting in a movie theater for like 3 hours. I went for 2 pee breaks during this film because that's how disinterested I was. Yeah, it just didn't. It did not grip me. And I don't really know. I don't really know what it was. Whether it was to do with the characters or just the film itself. I'm not sure what it was that was stopping me, but I couldn't get along with it. I really couldn't. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's okay. I was going to say it is a very odd pace and tone to the movie. Like, it very chop and change drastically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's comedy elements in it which are great, but they almost feel random and not forced, but very random.
Yes.
Like out of nowhere, which again I think really flips the tone at the time and stuff as well. So yeah, it is a oddly paced film, and the flashbacks, of course, a bit jarring. I know they kind of reflect
a bit jarring. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It wasn't like it didn't take anything away from it, but that's all. That's the review, guys. That's it. Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's.
What did you think of the cast? Let's focus on some of the positives. What did you think of the cast?
I really like the cast. I thought, and this is another interesting thing as well, is I read in an interview recently that I think it was Kit Harington who said that because no one comic book wise really connects a lot with the Eternals, it was down to them to reflect on their own personalities, like to project into the film. So Kit Harington, oddly, I didn't realize this, is quite like a bouncy kind of laughs sort of guy.
Yeah. Old Dane. He's a barrel laugh, isn't he? He loves his life.
Just doesn't take any of it seriously. Like, asks Cersei if she's like Doctor Strange. Are you?
I know. I was waiting for him to say the lines, "You know nothing, Cersei," but he never said it. Here's one of my main questions for you around the actors and actresses who are in this. Richard Madden, Kit Harington, Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Kumail Nanjiani, Mae Dong-seok. They are all very famous actors before coming to this. I mean very famous actors. You can argue that Gemma Chan is kind of on the fence, but they're all very famous. Actually, I mean, Brian Tyree Henry is also very famous as well, but regardless. But do you think having such big name stars in a franchise vehicle that is not proven, because let's face it, and let's be frank, and I'm going to hold my hands up and say I have not read the Eternals comics. I know there is a Neil Gaiman storyline that is extremely popular of theirs, and I think that is about the only Eternals comic that I know of that is super popular out there and in the nerdverse. I don't know anything about them. I didn't know anything about them. I would argue that having named actors in this, I think, actually detracted away from the characters that they were trying to build, because the whole time I was watching it, I was just thinking, that's Robb Stark. That's Lara Croft. You know, that's the lady from Wild Wild West.
Wow.
But do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether you felt that, but I really felt that when I was watching it. I felt this was a situation where it's like popular actors actually detracted a lot from the characters they were trying to portray.
But in a similar way, I thought some of these actors are way too popular to be in a superhero film like Angelina Jolie, even though I know she's done Tomb Raider and stuff. But I was like, some of them are going to be gone by the end of this movie without a shadow of a doubt. I was quite surprised who was left.
I agree 100% on that. 100%. I will say this as well, as far as performances and stuff, Angelina Jolie was fantastic as Athena. She was really good in this. Like, I was genuinely impressed by her. I was like, wow, she's playing that really, really in a very intelligently clever way. I like that a lot. I question her, like, her ease at which she killed Dro, which we'll come on to a bit later. So you've touched on a subject there, survivors of the Eternals. I made a bold prediction going into this that we were going to be left with probably 2, maybe 3 Eternals by the end of this film.
Wow.
I did it on the podcast, Zane. Come on, did you know this? Yes.
My memory's terrible.
I know. You just never listen to me. That's what it is. But like, he's too busy making reaction videos on his own and breaking my heart. But I will say that I was surprised by the survivors who were. So by the end of the film, Sprite becomes human. Massive spoilers, by the way, guys. Again, we'll just reiterate that for anyone who is watching or listening and you haven't seen the Eternals. Why are you listening to an Eternals review if you haven't seen it yet? But so Druid is left. Druid is left. Makarai is left, and who else is left?
Porthos? Is it pronounced Porthos?
Fastos. Fastos is left. Yes, that's correct. So yeah, it's Makarai, Fastos, and Druid are the only Eternals currently not either dead or indisposed by Celestials. Probably the biggest shock for this movie for me, the Celestials are alive.
Yeah, tell me about it. And to be fair, the scenes with the Celestial, with them were amazing and grand and like dwarfing. It was just fantastic. Loved it.
I agree. I can't remember what his name is now. Arsenic. There you go.
There's a lot of S's in it.
Aramis.
The judge.
Yes. I thought the celestial representation was fantastic. I question why they are alive, and I question how they are alive. And I always was assuming that they were dead because obviously there's nowhere. Which, you know, we can come to that a bit later on. But also the Infinity Stones, they don't have the Infinity Stones either. And so it's kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing, guys? What's going on? Are you just focused on just, reproducing? Is that basically your whole shtick? You just want to get your end away and that's it? I think it's quite awkward that Celestials have sex with planets and that's how they make their babies. It's very weird.
It puts into perspective as well. Ego is a Celestial in the MCU, and he was trying to do the same thing to an extent.
Well, let's make it clear. Ego says he's a Celestial. There is some dispute as to whether or not Ego is a Celestial or not. Some people were arguing. Somebody argued, this was an amazing comment I saw on one of the things. They were talking about Ego as a Celestial and the fact that he introduced himself as one. And somebody said, oh, maybe he just got stuck inside the planet he was getting born out of. And I love that idea. He just got his big head stuck. So now he has to be a planet for the rest of his life.
That's brilliant.
Old fathead Ego couldn't get out. So yeah, going back to the casting then. So let's run through the Eternals. So I'll say out their names. You just give me a thought on their performance, and we'll go from there. So Makarai the Speedster, played by Lauren Ridloff.
Undisputed, like fantastic. And on that,
I mean, you don't have to give me an undisputed or disputed. You can just tell me whether you liked him or not. Zane.
I liked, and they showcased her speed abilities amazingly well compared to other speedsters we've seen in the past.
Yeah, so we do sometimes go through, guys, and do kind of a breakdown of the film and what happens. I'm going to be honest with you, this was a long film, and a lot happens, and there's too much for it to break down. The footnotes are Celestials. It's interesting because it's the Earth X book way of Celestials reproducing, which they implant Celestials in a planet's core, and then when the Celestial is born, they destroy the planet. I'll tell you why that is interesting. We'll come back to it a bit later. So Ajak, who is the leader of the Eternals, does not agree with this. They have grown too attached to humans. They don't want Earth to be destroyed. Icarus is the most powerful of all the Eternals. He is a mission man. He is devoted to the mission, and he basically will see it to come to fruition no matter what, including betraying the rest of his Eternals. And the Eternals are basically this weird robotic species that was created by the Celestials. Oh, and as a footnote, there's deviants in this as well. So the deviants were also created by the Celestials in order to, I don't know, control energy or some stuff. Wasn't even really explained.
Yeah.
And frankly, Bill Skarsgård as Crow is so wasted in this film. He does nothing. I think this might be one of the reasons why I didn't enjoy this film as well, because we're going back to the old Phase 1 villains. Bearing in mind, we just had the Mandarin in Shang-Chi, who was exceptional baddie. And then you've got Crow in this, who is basically an evolved alien because he can steal powers. And he was no disrespect to Bill Skarsgård, because, he's amazing as it, but terrible. It barely in it, and just terrible. And then dies, as I touched on earlier on, dies in the most stupid of manner. Tell me how he dies, Zane.
He gets sliced up, just like that. Just after stealing 3 or 4 powers. 2. He steals Ajax and he steals Gilgamesh. Yeah. Which I was surprised. I thought Gilgamesh would. Yeah,
me too.
Later on.
Yeah, sorry, we'll go through this again. But yeah, Crow was not a good villain for this, and I didn't like it. So let's carry on with that. So Druid is the next Inhuman I was going to ask you about. Mind Controller, played by Barry Keoghan.
I liked his performance. It's almost like 2 halves, because it's like when he's got his own little village and stuff, and he kind of blames them and has a go at them about different things. I was like, oh, this is a very Loki-esque performance. Like, you abandoned me, and look at you now. Like, do you know what I mean? And then
it's James McAvoy. You abandoned me. You took it away, and you abandoned me.
But then when he joins the group, I was like, okay, he's actually pretty cool. Like, he has this fondness for Makarai. I believe that's the name, the Speedster.
Is it Makarai? Is that how you say it? I always thought it was Makarai, but I could be wrong. I think it is Makarai. You're right.
So when you see him interact, like become part of the group and interact with them and stuff, I was like, okay, he's actually pretty cool and stuff. Like, I really like him.
Did you find it difficult? So this was a thing that I found, and I could just be a cult of one seeing this. Did you find it very hard to understand him at points?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I don't know whether it was an actor's choice or what it was, but I find it really, really hard to understand what he was saying at certain parts in the film. And I don't know whether he was just mumbling over his words or what, but sometimes it literally did just come out as
yeah. And the odd thing is, I didn't realize he was Irish until the scene where you see the revolt with the Mayans.
Oh, really?
I was like, oh, he's Irish. Like, I hear it now. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like,
he said 33 1/3. I can hear it now.
So, when they start talking about, when they learn about mind wary.
Mind. Oh, you mean the illness that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that mind wary? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. That's what they called it, isn't it?
Wow, nice and original there. Yeah, they're all about their minds. Mind weary, unimind.
Yeah.
Okay, so you quite enjoyed Druid.
Yeah.
Okay, because traditionally speaking, I guess from talking to Drac about this, Drac is our fellow co-host who sometimes appears on the show. He said that traditionally speaking, Druid is normally the betrayer. Druid is normally the one who betrays the Eternals.
Wow.
So that's why Icarus being the betrayer was kind of a bit of a change from the books. Apparently, it's normally Druid who is the evil boy.
I can see that. Yeah.
I can see where they were setting out for that. Yeah, 100%. But right from the get-go, I was like, "Oh, Richard Madden's totally a bad guy. 100%. Look how evil he is. He's totally evil." Yeah. I knew it was going to be something weird. The fact that nobody had seen him for ages, and the fact that he was like out on his own, and all the other ones tended to like pair off together or be around humans, like be around people. Apart from Ajax, but Ajax a different case altogether. Okay, sticking with some of the lesser known people, then we've got Leah Mchugh as Sprite.
Yeah. Again, it felt like a performance of two halves. The first half was great, and then when it came to like the final fight and stuff, I was like, oh no. And again, it was kind of I like the comparisons to Peter Pan. I was like,
yes, that was very good.
Yeah, that's a great reference. But the way that she, again, it's an interesting dynamic because she's in love with Icarus, which you don't see a lot of in movies and media, where she's undevoted to him no matter what the cause.
Here's the part where I had a problem with this, right? So this person has been in love with, and she's not a girl, she's not a little girl, let's remember that. She is as old as the Eternals is. She's in her mind, she is as old as the Eternals are. She is 100% on Icarus's side. She goes with him when, everything is going to hell.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, we'll get onto it, but Icarus dies at the end of this film, and she gets over it so quickly. This is someone who's been in love with this guy for 7,000 years, and he dies, and she's like, I got a new iPhone. Like, what is that?
Add an extra layer. She's seen him in love with someone else for 7,000 years as well.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, right? We're both married. If our wives die, or if your paramour dies who you've been in love with, even if they're not in love with you, if you're in love with them and they die, I'm sorry, you're not going to... And if you've been in love with that person for 7,000 years, you're not going to get over it like that. There's no way.
Even if your dream of being a real person, a real human...
Right!
Is
exactly.
To you.
I want to be a real boy. What are you doing? Honestly, that was, for me, that was like the biggest, like, what is that character decision there? That is terrible. That's a terrible character choice. Oh, you'll make me human. I'll instantly get over this guy then. Yay. Give me a new iPhone. That'll do it. Terrible. I thought her performance was really good. And she did play the, what's the word I'm looking for? Torment of being stuck in a young body. It's the interview with the vampire syndrome, where Kirsten Dunst she's bitten when she's a child and she'll never grow old. But then, she'd rather die than have to deal with that. So, yeah, it is what it is. Right. So, next in line.
Just before you go on to the next one, constructs compared to Loki, who can like manifest real things, where all of her illusions were just like holograms.
Terrible. I know.
Weak.
Yeah. Sprite, you suck. I'm saying it now. If you're out there listening, you suck, Sprite. Loki's got you dead to rights. Glorious purpose. Okay, so moving on. I would say the last of the kind of he is known but like semi-unknowns. Brian Tyree Henry is Phastos. What did you think of Phastos?
Fantastic. Great. Like it was a bit odd, but I liked the scene of the atomic bomb going off and he blaming himself.
He didn't even blame himself, did he? He blamed humans.
Yeah.
That was excellent. Like that was a really good bit. And yeah, I liked him sitting in the wasteland of Hiroshima. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought Phastos was really good when he was there.
Yeah.
I think he wasn't there. They did really play into the idea again of like technology as the dominant power force in the MCU. Because I am sorry, Phastos on his own stopped Icarus.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
So we'll get onto Icarus next, and we'll talk about Icarus next. But like Fastos is seriously powerful, man. Like he so I guess we'll just run through the powers as well. So Makarai has super speed. Druid has the abilities to control minds and make people do whatever he wants. Sprite, as you touched on, is an illusionist. Oh, try saying that fast. Fastos is a technology savant. Like, basically, there's nothing that he can't understand and create. He is born of technology, and technology is born of him. So there you go. So yeah, he literally can do anything. He's responsible for the it's revealed that he is responsible for man's invention of the plow. He's also responsible for man's invention of the combustion engine, the steam engine. He's basically influenced their technological reach throughout the ages. So he's pretty important. And power wise, he's just very strong with his technology. If there's a weird noise coming from down the line, I apologize. My hamster is going crazy in his cage behind me trying to grab some stuff. But Zane, please go through your Fastos opinions and thoughts on his relationship with his family.
I thought it was fantastic, and it was really cute as well, because he mentions how he had walked away from technology and how he will repair his kids' bikes by hand, where Icarus, in jokely manner, showed that his technology is still live and active without his interference, shall we say. I don't know where I was going with that, but still, but yeah, it is fantastic to see a day of the life. Like, here's an Eternal who's adopted human life to its full capacity, having children, having a lover, a partner, and such. So it was fantastic to see that. Also, whilst we're on the subject of his family, the DC references in this.
Oh yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? How did they get away with that?
I have no idea.
We had a Batman reference dropped at some point during the film. I'm trying to remember when it was.
It's when Gilgamesh meets. Is it Kill? I'm trying to think of his character's name. Is it Kingo?
No.
Kingo. It's when he meets Kingo's manager / cameraman /
Oh right, Karun.
Yeah. So Gilgamesh is like, so you're like his Alfred.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know why there was so many. It was weird. It was weird that there were so many in there. I was surprised at that, to be honest with you. But you very neatly brought us on to Kingo. Then let's talk about Kingo. Fastos is great, by the way. Fastos is great in this. I think he should have been given more to do, to be honest with you, because he only kind of turns up at the beginning and the end. But he's great. Kingo, Kumail Nanjiani, he has embraced the flamboyance and the gravitas of humanity. What can Kingo do, you say? Well, he's basically a gunslinger. He can use eternal energy to make bullets. That's basically what he does and fires them. I liked him. I did really enjoy him. He was the light entertainment of the film. Him and Gilgamesh. I think his motivations are a little bit weird. Like, again, it's character issues that I have a lot with this film, in the sense of, like, if Earth is destroyed, he is no longer a Bollywood star, and he loves being a Bollywood star. And it's just kind of like, oh, I'm happy to just have my mind erased and move on to the next planet. Who cares? I'm like, but you've got this guy, Karun, who you seem to have a really nice relationship with, and he's human, and he's going to die from this. It's like, yeah, but I'll move on. Like, well, you suck.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. And again, he was another one who kind of not stood alongside Icarus in the sort of final act, but he agreed with Icarus, and he was like, I'm not going to fight him because he's still family.
You can't.
Yeah, there's that as well.
Yeah, he genuinely does say that at one point. He's like, even if I did fight him, he'd win.
Yeah.
So,
and he always refers to him as boss as well, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yeah, I liked it again, and I think this is a problem that we're identifying a lot with this film. I like to call it. Oh, excuse me. I like to call it Justice League syndrome, whereby you have all these characters who it's the first time we're ever seeing them, and you have to introduce them all in a meaningful way so that we care about them. But you've only got 3 hours to do it in, and go.
Yeah.
And what happens is they end up being super shallow, and it's like, I mean, let's face it, Fastos, would we care about Fastos at all if we didn't know he had a kid and a husband? That's great. It brings some weight into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't care at all about Makarai. I knew she had a thing with Druid. I didn't care anything about Druid because all he cared about was controlling people's minds.
Yeah.
This is the part where it gets annoying for me. And we'll talk about this in the characters. So after Kingo, I think let's talk about Athena. Yeah. Played by Angelina Jolie. So this character, I guess they were trying to make her like an Amazonian warrior princess 100%. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you know, she's the goddess of war. You know, her specialty is generating like weapons made of energy and basically being an incredible fighter. She can best anyone in combat is the idea behind it. And again, the difference element to that is that she's got this weird relationship with Gilgamesh, where they're kind of, it's never really, they never confirm they're a couple, but it's kind of hinted at that they're a couple, or like extremely close. And she has this thing called Mind Weir or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
What is it?
Weary. It's either Weary Mind or Mind Weary.
I think it's Mind. Wasn't it Mind Weary? Let me have a look. But
the whole idea is that all of their previous lives, every time they've conquered a planet and such, those memories have resurfaced, and it confuses her and such.
Right. Okay. Mad Weary.
Oh, Mad Weary.
Mad Weary. That's what it's called. Yeah, Athena's Mad Weary illness, and it's. I guess it's a parallel to dementia, basically, where you don't know who you are anymore. It's revealed the reason why she has this condition is because the Eternals have lived for millions of years, and every so often after a celestial birth from a planet, their minds are erased and they move on to the new planet to start all over again. I thought Angelina Jolie was great as Athena. I thought her performance was really good. I kind of liked ironically enough, the best parts of it was when she was struggling with the Mad Weary, and she, you know, coming back into it and not knowing what she'd done and having that kind of thing hanging over her. That for me was the best part.
It shows a level of vulnerability to, like you said before, a fighter, an untouchable, you know, goddess in some regards.
And it makes me relate to her. It makes me it makes me care about her. Like she, you know, she was one of the few people where it's like when Crow had her, I was like, oh man, they're going to suck out Angelina Jolie's life force. That sucks. I think I've seen that film on the internet, but like, it genuinely made me sad that like she was going to die and then she didn't. And then she just like annihilated him with like 2 hits, which was kind of surprising. But as we've touched on Athena, we might as well touch on the other half of that conversation and talk about Gilgamesh, Madong Siak. Gilgamesh was my favorite part of this film. Yeah. I thought that the character was incredibly likable, whilst being incredibly powerful, whilst also being immediately identifiable. Not in terms of like, oh, I can point him out and that's Gilgamesh, but in terms of like, yeah, I can see why you would do that. You know, he was probably, with the exception of maybe Cersei, probably the best written in the show, in the film. And his death, spoilers, his death had some real emotional weight to it. So Gilgamesh is super strong. He can create like powerful force punches and stuff, you know, from his body, and he's kind of same line as Athena. He's like a super strong warrior, a warrior guy, you know, but he forgoes all of that to look after someone he cares for,
Yeah.
Which I think is something we can all identify with. You know, we've all been through that situation where we've had to give up what we want to do or give up situations we want to be in to look after people we love. And the Gilgamesh-Athena relationship in this, I would argue, is possibly as strong, if not stronger than the Cersei Icarus one. And they never slept together.
Yeah,
you know,
it is a fantastic piece. Like you said, you know, when they do find out that Athena has this condition, and they debate about almost putting her in, like, I think it was like a cryogenical like sleep or something. They were gonna, I can't even think of the words, but he said no, I'll
put her in stasis. They were going to put her in stasis, basically.
Stasis. And he was like, look, I'm the only one who could look after her because, you know, I have to.
As powerful as she is,
yeah. I'll do it. And the fact that he did do it for 7,000 years, like he looked after her, build a house,
and that's the other thing as well. Yeah, you're exactly, Zane. It's a really good point you bring up on. It wasn't like it wasn't a Luke Skywalker hermit situation where he just felt sorry for himself for 7,000 years. He genuinely enjoyed it. Like he became a chef. Like he cooked all manner of stuff. He made beer out of his own spit. He did all this kind of stuff and became like a domestic goddess, for lack of a better word. You know, and like it was great and it's really good. And then that's why he looked like almost like a father figure when they all got together again, and were all around the table. And that's why his death actually had an impact. Nobody else who died in this film I care. I honestly, I mean this in no disrespect to anyone who really enjoyed this film. Nobody else who died in this or got taken away in this, I didn't care for. I couldn't give any less of a monkey's for. Case in point being Ajak, played by Salma Hayek. Ajak, I don't know what, her powers are healing, aren't they?
I thought this was, and similar to Gilgamesh, after much thought, I was like, why did they take those characters out? Like, out of all of them, why those two? And I couldn't help but think, is it because they're scared people might be like, well, Ajax could fix them, or Gilgamesh is probably just as strong as the Hulk. Why don't they have him in the Avengers? Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe problem solving early by taking these characters off the board.
You mean they Professor X them?
Yes, I do.
Like we talked last week in the Fox tier list.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, Ajak had to die because she was she's the one who brought them all together. Mm-hmm. So she's the central leader. So like without her, theoretically the team is fractured and it's harder for them to come together under their own speed. I would argue Salma Hayek was not used enough in this film. Ajak was barely in this film. Like if you watch the film, again, spoilers guys, but if you watch the film, Ajak's barely in it. Athena is arguably barely in it. Gilgamesh is barely in it. You know, I think Bill Skarsgård is barely in it. A lot of the big Kit Harington, Dane Whitman, that's a classic example of someone who's barely in it. He's in it at the beginning and he's in it at the end, and that's it. I think that if given more to do, Salma Hayek could have been really good. I really like Salma Hayek for multiple different reasons, which we won't go into on live on air. But no, she's a good actress. She is really good.
I'm pretty sure, bar 2 scenes, all of her scenes are in the trailers.
Yes, I was going to say that. It's weird. Get out of my head. That's exactly what I was going to say. Is that you could have pieced together the trailers and got Salma Hayek's performance out of this, because that is basically what it is. But yeah, so we're going to move on to the two. I would argue probably the two main Eternals. The two main Eternals. Jeez, that's a Freudian slip. As how easily they're interchangeable. So let's start with Richard Madden, the King of the North, as Icarus, who I could only see as Robb Stark throughout the entirety of this film. I was waiting for his throat to get slit at one point, but it never happened. Spoilers for Game of Thrones, by the way, guys. A show that's now almost 10 years old. God, that's depressing. Icarus, the strongest of the Inhumans. I keep saying Inhumans, the Eternals, the strongest of the Eternals. The strongest of the Eternals. Arguably Superman-esque.
Yeah.
He can fly. He's got super strength. He's got laser eyes.
Yeah.
Some invulnerability, but not really a lot of it. Doesn't have the freeze breath, and he doesn't really have the Man of Steel-esque kind of like, he can't be, hurt. He can be hurt.
Yeah.
So Icarus.
A lot of laser eyes. Like, there's more laser eye in this than, dare I say, all of Henry Cavill's movies put together.
Yeah, it does make you wonder how he doesn't get pink eye with the amount he uses it.
Wow. Or golden eye, because they're golden lasers.
Golden eye. Sorry. I had to do the obligatory Tina Turner for that. I apologize. Anytime anyone says that to me, it's got to be followed by a Tina Turner rendition.
Turner impression.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be. I like Richard Madden a lot. He's really good. I think is he in Spooks, or was he in? I can't remember which. He's in some British. The Bodyguard. That was what he's in. Sure, let's go with that. He was in something else as well, but I'm just going to go with that. The Bill. All British actors have been in The Bill. There you go. That's a very niche English thing. I know he was in Cinderella, wasn't he? With what's her face? God, I've got all the answers today, haven't I? I've got all the answers. Let's see. Let's have a quick look at his IMDb, guys, because I want to know. He's in Castlevania.
Oh,
he's in the game. He's Alucard in the Lord of Shadows video game.
Interesting.
I didn't know that. Sorry, that's shocked me. He's in both of them. He's in Castlevania 1 and 2 as Alucard. Holy wow. My goodness. Yeah, he's in Cinderella. Medici, The Bodyguard. He was in The Bodyguard. There you go. Nice. He's been in 1917. Why did I think he was in Thingy? Why did I think he was in Spooks or something? I don't know where I've got that from. I think
Kit Harington was in Spooks. There was a Spooks movie starring Kit Harington.
That's what it is. That's who it is. Yeah. Apparently, the rumor is that they don't get along. Did you hear this rumor?
I didn't know. No.
Kit Harington and Richard Madden hate each other, apparently. To the point where Richard Madden apparently refused to do a scene where he's supposed to be in it with Dane Whitman, and he refused to do it because they hate each other so much, apparently.
Wow.
I know. I was shocked by it as well. I was like, really? Man.
That could be another Interview with a Vampire where Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise don't get on.
It's Brett and Sean all over again, Zane. But yeah, anyway, sorry. So back to Richard Madden and his performance. I thought he was basically the straight man of this piece. Like, there was no, up until a point when he turns, and it was very one note. I don't know whether it was a conscious choice to play Icarus kind of like a stoic piece of wood, for lack of a better expression. He wasn't. He's not a bad actor. That's not what I'm saying. But he was very kind of straight and this is how it is. This is what I do, and this is the way it is, and that's fine. Again, I couldn't identify with him, even though he was in love with Cersei. And we'll come on to this. We'll come on to the bit with the Celestials at the end. But I didn't rate his performance super highly. I don't know what he was kind of going for when he playing this duality thing where it was he was really conflicted, or he wasn't conflicted. And it's I think whilst we're talking about this review, one of the key parts that we can take away from it is character and character development in this film was a big problem. Yeah. Am I wrong in saying that, Zane, or was it just they weren't developed well?
Yeah, and I knew the movie was going to have this problem, like you said, similar to Justice League, where you've got 10 characters to have a deep understanding of their vulnerabilities, to connect with, to and the whole idea is that they're aliens, but they're supposed to be more in tune with or have a love for humans more than anything we've seen before. So it was a demanding take. And again, it's not a popular comic book series as well. It didn't have a fan base to drive it. Something that runs through my mind was this a test run at a Marvel Justice League? I know we've got the Avengers and that's been a huge success, but this, like you said, there's so many elements of it that remind you of a Justice League. And the same with Icarus being a Superman analog. It's kind of like, was this a test run of something further down the lines like the Squadron Supreme or,
I understand exactly where you're coming from. I think that this was a misfire from Marvel. I think that they wanted it to be like a serious Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
where they can throw them all together for the first film and it works perfectly. But they have neglected to respect the idea that this is a space opera.
Yeah,
in a similar vein as Dune, ironically enough, which has come out around a similar time. Really, this first film should have been all about establishing the characters as they were.
Yeah,
and not doing the whole story in one shebang. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Icarus was fine. Icarus being revealed as the villain was, again, I guess it's a twist for people who thought Druid was going to be the villain. I was fine with it. It made perfect sense because he's the strongest of all of them. So, of course, it would give them an intimidating baddie to face because, they didn't have any deviants in this to face. So it was what it was. It also created a nice bit of duality with Cersei in the sense of like she wasn't sure where to, what to really do, except she completely was and had no doubts whatsoever about what she should do, which was, like, okay, cool. It's only a guy you married and have been with for 5,000 years, but yeah, sure, no worries. You'll gladly swat him aside so that you can turn a celestial into stone. Heartless, absolutely heartless. That was another thing. So let's come on to Cersei, who is Gemma Chan. I thought Gemma Chan was really good in this. I think she had a really uphill struggle for what she was doing. Cersei's powers are the manipulation of matter and being to transmogrify things into other things. So stone to sand, etc., etc. She is, I guess, the heart of the film.
Yes.
She is the one who is closest to humanity and supposed to be closest to humanity in the sense of kind of like having that deep-rooted connection where she loves them so much that she just wants to save everyone. But she also loves Icarus, apparently, but then doesn't. Then she loves Dane, but doesn't. But, she also teaches in the Natural History Museum. I didn't realize there was a school in the Natural History Museum.
I was taken back by that as well. I was like, oh, they do classes in the museum.
I was like, that was written by someone who doesn't live in England. Again, just not enough time to develop that bond that you would think should be there. I mean, like crazy levels of strength again, which we're seeing. This is the one thing that really concerns me about this generation of Marvel. Like, really concerns me is we are seeing like super OP individuals in this universe. Wanda is super OP. Captain Marvel is super OP. Doctor Strange is OP on a level where he can, depending on what version of it he is, he can consume an exploding universe. Like that. And then this, Cersei, like, she can transmogrify an entire celestial being into stone, which what the hell does that do to our planet, just for the record? So, right, this was now that we've got past the characters and said this film needed more character development, let's just talk about the actual plot of the film and what happens at the end. Because at the end of this film, the Celestial is born. I'm sorry, the Celestial is actually born, and the Celestial breaks through the breaks through the Earth's crust its hand comes up and its head.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that has no impact on the atmosphere, nothing at all. It ain't game over at that point because, oh no, we're just seeing the breach of his head. It's fine. Don't worry. It's just crowning. It's just crowning.
In
Zane.
an ocean somewhere. It's
Exactly.
just in an ocean.
It's just in an ocean.
No one lives in the ocean, do they?
Exactly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not, the amount of oh yeah, Namor is so annoying. His little wings will be on his ankles are getting well inflamed. Yeah. But like, is it just me, or is would that seriously not? Bearing in mind we're in an era at the moment where as we speak, the COP26 is going on, and we're talking about the Earth burning and all that side of things. I'm sorry, if you have a celestial being that is being born out of the Earth's core, and it's already got to the surface, that is game over. There ain't no coming back from that. Like, why am I was watching it, I was like, so they lost. They lost.
What's quite funny as well is they mentioned the earthquake that happens in sort of the opening scenes.
Yes.
And even like when they go to Australia to see Gilgamesh, he's like, oh, is that what that was? Like 6 days ago. And it's like, if that from the UK to Australia to have felt the same earthquake, and then our final act is like it falling apart, it's just kind of like, but like I mean, everything's fine. It's sunshine and rainbows. Like, I mean,
let's not ignore the fact that if there was an opening between the Earth's core and the ocean, it would boil the ocean completely. Like it would evaporate the water in the ocean very quickly, not to mention destroy the planet, folks. It would destroy the planet. So that was really rubbish. I was like, that is awful. Like, why is it all the way up here? Like, I thought, oh, she's gonna like solidify it in like she's gonna turn it into lava, like in the Earth's core, and then it'll be like, because she has the power to do that.
Yeah.
But no, it's much better to turn it to stone.
Was it stone or was it marble? I was like, this is marble.
Is marble a stone? Technically, marble a stone.
That's true, yeah.
But regardless, either way, stupid, really stupid. And then like Icarus kills himself. What is that?
There was a moment when he flew off into space, and I was like, oh, this would be cool. Like they'll do what a lot of
redemption arc. Yes,
him in space.
He'll go and free the other Eternals or something like that, or he'll go and try and like birth other Celestials. And then it was like, oh no, we're gonna look. His name's Icarus, so he's gonna fly too close to the sun, right? Shut the front door. Ridiculous. Again, terrible character motivations. Awful. You get Sprite getting turned into a girl by the remaining celestial energy from the Unimind. So sorry, I should point out the way that Cersei does actually manipulate the whole celestial is that the remaining Eternals hook up to this thing called the Unimind, which basically channels all of their powers into one. And so that they can effectively be super powered instead of just having the usual kind of like, I can change a bonsai tree into stone. So obviously then Cersei uses it on the Celestial. I didn't like this film, Zane. I really didn't like it. I didn't like it. It was really bad. Like, it just didn't flow. It didn't work at all. And like, it was just not. It just wasn't.
The fight scenes in this were really bizarre as well until the last one where they fight Icarus. I was like, oh, this is amazing. All the other ones, I was like, this is really bizarre because Icarus is just punching deviants and lasering some of them, and then eventually they'll just go like, do you know what I mean? It was just kind of like
there's no rhyme nor reason as to why they died. I will say the one part of the film I really did enjoy was when Phastos took down Icarus, like by himself. Let's not ignore that. By himself, he literally constructed. It felt like, interestingly as well. I never put two and two together until I'm talking about it now. It felt like that weird suit that Doctor Strange puts Caecilius in Doctor Strange, where he kind of like just like constricts him into all those different places, and that's exactly what Phastos was doing to Icarus. He was just flinging this stuff at him that just made him more and more like restricted into his poses. Maybe we're going to get like a little nod that suit was created by Phastos to contain like people. I mean, that's pretty much it for the film, guys, is that Cersei turns the Celestial into stone, and then some of them fly off into space to find the other the other Eternals, who are, it turns out, they're clones, so there's thousands of them. So they're going to go and, inverted commas, free the other Eternals. All right, I don't really care. But then Cersei, who is it? Cersei, Kingo, and Sprite?
No, it would be
Phastos. Cersei,
Phastos,
Kingo, and Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos get left on Earth. But the Aramis, the Grand
Judge.
Eternal, the Judge, he decides to say hello and kidnaps them.
Which was some massive Galactus vibes, because
yes, it was.
He was not in Earth, but he
was like, he parted the atmosphere kind of thing.
Yeah, and everyone's like pointing to the sky, like there's a giant face in the sky, and which was amazing.
There's a giant face in the sky.
That's what you want from the Galactus. You'd be like, there's a giant face.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's an interesting point to talk about the future of this. So I did bring up earlier on about the fact that Celestials were in Earth and in other planet cores, which links back to a story, I believe I read it in Earth X, where the reason for Galactus's existence is actually not just a random occurrence in the universe. So I believe it's in Earth X. I could be wrong on that, but the storyline is basically that these celestial eggs exist in planets around the universe.
Mm-hmm.
The planets that Galactus eats are the celestial egg planets.
Oh, wow.
That's why he has like people like the Silver Surfer. He has his heralds, because they go and find the egg planets so that Galactus can specifically consume the celestial energy. It's not, and he is a balancing force in the universe. Yeah. So that the Celestials don't become too overpowered. That's the idea. I can't remember who he was created by, but like the idea is that he's the yin to their yang. He's the one who stops the Celestials from, becoming out of control. Which is why in Earth X, when Reed uses the ultimate nullifier on Galactus and stops him, it's very bad for the universe, because that means that the Celestial is going to be born from Earth. And so it's then all about, the story is all about how they like stop it from being born. Earth X is an amazing book. It doesn't get enough credit. It's got artwork from Alex Ross in it as well, I believe. It's so well done. And it was one of the most amazing reads I've ever had. If you want to see a load of like weirdly like changed heroes, like Captain America's old and he wears like a Caesar robe of the American flag, and then Spider-Woman has the Venom, Spider-Girl has the Venom symbiote, so May Parker is Spider-Girl and she has the Venom symbiote over her, but it kind of looks weirdly like Carnage as well at the same time. It's an amazing visual. And then Daredevil is like Deadman, I think, in it. So obviously Deadman is a DC thing, but like Daredevil's got this weird like demon face and stuff. It's really cool. Earth X is a great read, but the reason why I bring it up here is that as soon as I found out that it was like celestial eggs in the MCU, I was like, that is how they're going to bring Galactus into this. That is how they're going to do it, because like it's Galactus is going to be the balancing force that eats these eggs, and he will probably head to Earth under the assumption that there is one of those eggs there, only to find out that it's gone, but he'll still want to consume the planet. Whether or not he's going to be a celestial or not, there's an argument to be made that maybe Galactus is a celestial himself. And he's like the balancing forces of these things, of the light and dark. I don't know, but yeah, it was great. Like it was really, really good. Like in terms of like the ideas of what could come from this.
Yeah.
is exciting. Unfortunately, the film itself was not so exciting.
I tell you what was exciting is the end credits scene. Not the mid one, because we've already kind of mentioned that, Harry Styles, woo. But
actually, that was the final one. Was the Harry Styles one?
That was
Eros was the end one.
And then there's the end one with Dame. Dean.
I thought the Dane Whitman one was the mid credits one, and then the.
Oh, maybe I'm getting confused.
I think the Dane Whitman one was the mid credits one because that's the one that more people would have stuck around for, whereas Eros was slightly more obscure.
But
maybe you're right.
Styles.
I can't. Yeah, great. It's Harry Styles. Yeah.
It's Harry Styles.
Yeah, everyone loves Harry Styles, don't they? Yeah.
That One Direction money. Got to pay it, Marvel. Got to pay it, Kev. Wow.
Yeah, he's so. Oh man, what a dreamboat. Anyway, which one do you want to talk about first, then? Because we'll talk about both of them.
Let's get Harry Styles out of the way.
All right. So yeah, as we mentioned, Eros is going to be Eros, and otherwise known as Star Fox. He is apparently he's going to be in a lot of these. Just a heads up. Yeah. So Harry Styles. Yeah, he's had a 5-movie deal. He is quite a popular character from what I understand from the comics. Again, I don't know enough about him because it's breaching into this is where we get into like the cosmic MCU where it's like, cosmic Marvel Universe where I know bits and pieces about it. Like, you get onto stuff like the Living Tribunal and that side of things. Like I know of them, but I don't know them, if that makes sense. I don't know Thanos' origins on Titan or any of that stuff. It's outside of my wheelhouse in that regard. Ironically enough, I tend to be more interested in the DC cosmic universe than I do, in the in the Marvel cosmic universe. I know that as far as like the Marvel stuff is concerned, obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing Nova when he eventually does turn up, whether he turns up as part of all of this mess or not, or whether he turns up in Guardians, I don't know. But Eros is going to be a big player coming up, I'm afraid. So get used to Harry Styles and Pitt, his little troll played by Patton Oswalt. Was what it was, wasn't it? I don't really have any strong feelings either way.
Yeah, same. It's there's nothing more I could say about that really. Maybe if memory serves me right, I think Star Fox has quite a few interactions with Adam Warlock as well. So
yes,
again, like you mentioned with the Guardians thing, knowing that Adam Warlock's going to be in Guardians, I wonder if it's kind of going to be linked up at some point.
Now that you've said that, if the Eternals 2, nothing against Chloe Zhao, but if she's going off to do Star Wars, if the Eternals 2 is picked up by James Gunn, I would be a hell of a lot more interested in this moving forward, because that will open up a lot of cosmic doors, which we have seen open in the MCU, which would make it a lot more interesting. I think. Yeah. I think the problem with this, it was just really flat. Like it's just really like dull and flat. Like the ship that the Eternals have. I can't remember what it's called. The Mogo or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but that's what the plot of this film was like. It's just a black flat line. Like it was just dull. Like it was just really dull. And I want some cosmic bombastiness. Like when the Celestial turned up, when Aramis turned up, that was great. I was like, yeah, that's badass. That's what I want. I want scope. I want size. I want planet-eating monsters. That's what I want. And it was just like, we love humanity. We want to save them. So we're going to wait until the Celestial's halfway out the Earth's core before we do it. I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't know. Like the thing that probably got me most excited is what you're going to talk about next, which is the other post-credit sequence. That did excite me a lot, and it didn't excite me when I watched the film until afterwards when I found out who it was. So go ahead, Zane. You tell me what happens in this post-credit sequence.
So the post-credit sequence, we see Kit Harington inherit the box, the chest that so happens to store the ebony blade, which was cool because it had like some amazing carvings on it. He spoke something in another tongue, which was something like till death not till death do us part, but it was something, really cool. Anyways,
Yes.
As he goes to reach for the blade reacts and moves. Like the sheen of it kind of reacts to him, which was really cool.
Yes.
But then you hear a voice that says, "I wouldn't do that if I was you."
Yes.
And like you said, it's off screen, so you don't see the character. I walked away thinking maybe it's Doctor Strange, because I was like, wow, who else would it be really?
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until all the articles came out and said, that's Blade.
It's Blade. It's my okay, I can never say his name. My Shashi Ali. I can never say his goddamn name. Damn it! But yes, it's Blade. I was like,
It's
what
Blade.
the hell is that? So yeah. Thoughts on Blade's first MCU appearance and nobody knowing it was him?
One, it's annoying that we didn't get to see that as him. And we had to find out from tweets and, articles and such. Secondly, I kind of like the idea that they're kind of going back to roots and saying, like, Blade is in England. Like, again, knowing that he's supposed to be British, but obviously times have changed and the Blade movies had a big influence on the comic books.
Yes.
It's kind of cool to know that he's in England and such. Odd of all places that he would be, let's say, at the museum at that time as Kit Harington's about to get the ebony blade.
Yeah. It's very random. It is a very random piece, and it's a very random encouragement. I genuinely thought Wong was going to turn up, because I thought they were going to be like a Agent Coulson kind of situation where Wong was like recruiting all these people, because we already saw the end of Shang-Chi where like he brings them all together to talk about the origins of the bracelets. By the way, that's the other thing I wanted to say as well. That's just reminded me of that. Fastos, what does he create in order to do the Unimind?
Bracelets. And
they've got this unidentified metal that Shang-Chi's 10 rings are made out of, that they don't know where it's come from and they don't know what it is. And as soon as I saw him making bracelets, I was like, hang on a minute. 10 rings. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, a couple of things to mention about the Ebony Blade. So the reason why it's kind of personally exciting to me, and the reason why I was very excited to see it react to a human, was that there's obviously the connection to the symbiotes with the Ebony Blade, and the fact that Knull, the god of the symbiotes, lays claim to it. It's supposed to have been created by Merlin and some other person who I can't remember what it was, but like it's actually a symbiote sword, technically. Now, don't quote me on that. It's not an exact symbiote sword, but like it's a weapon that he has used, that Knull has used. It all kind of feeds back to more pointing towards a lot of symbiote focus coming up, because if you notice that the way that the blade kind of reacted to him is almost as if a symbiote trying to latch on to a human host. But also, Nowhere, which we mentioned earlier on, is obviously the decapitated head of a symbiote. It's revealed in the comic Origins that's sorry, not the decapitated head of a celestial. Sorry, it's revealed in the comics that decapitated head was done by Knull.
Yeah,
he decapitated a symbiote. Decapitated a celestial with a symbiote sword. I think it was with Gore the God Butcher's sword, which I can't remember what the name of it is now. Oh, what's the name? The Necro sword.
Yeah. The oddly it is black as well. I know. I can picture it, but I can't think of its name. But yeah.
But with the revelation, obviously now that Venom is in the MCU as well, it does feel like they are going quids in on symbiote stories, and we may well be seeing, because they've already mentioned Necro swords in What If. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see, maybe not Knull himself, but like if we do see some involvement from Venom in the upcoming stuff, and we start to see more symbiotes showing up and more symbiote lore and that side of things, because it's so popular and it's such a rich history as well that it makes total sense. But Eternals.
Oh, Eternals.
You weren't as bad as the Inhumans. I will 100% give you that.
Yeah, that's true. But the real question is, what did you think? Let us know in the comment section down below. Also, drop us a like whilst you're at it. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop us a like, drop us a sub. Yeah, why not? It's free. You can do it. Yeah. We believe in you.
And now it's your turn to show that you believe in us.
Mm-hmm.
Pressure. Let's put the pressure on them, Zane. Let's put the peer pressure on them. Come on.
Just do it.
We want to get to the point where we can tell you why the latest edition of Train Weekly is something you should buy with their amazing sponsorship, or potentially why Manscaped would improve your grooming, section downstairs. But we can't do that unless we get your likes.
We want that sponsorship money, and you want to hear those beautiful ads like Raid Shadow Legends.
I just want to point out that I don't want the money. I just want to help people. But Zane is a greedy capitalist, and he wants all of that cash. So. To be clear, though, that is not me endorsing on the stream. If I got some of that cash, that I wouldn't take it. I'd definitely take a percentage of it. But as he's established at the top of the show, Zane is the captain, so I don't get a say in that.
That's what they tell me. So yeah, that's been our thoughts and reactions and everything else. As always, all the relevant links will be in the description down below. If you want to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. You look like you've just remembered something.
No, I was going to say, what are we going to do next week? Because Hawkeye isn't out until the week after next, is it? I don't think. I think it's 23rd is Hawkeye, I think.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I don't know if there's anything out at the cinema. We said we were going to talk about June, but we never did. So we'll just skirt over that. June's good, guys. Go and see it if you haven't seen it already. But maybe we do another tier list next week.
Maybe
I do enjoy tier list. There's still a non-DCEU tier list for us to do at some point, Zane.
there is that, isn't there?
As well as we said we were going to do the Marvel phases, didn't we? Mm-hmm. So that's not super abundant.
Yeah, great tier lists to come.
Or if you've got any ideas for any tier lists that you want to see us do, it can be anything as long as it's kind of around comic book nerdiness. So if you want to see us tier list the best comic book games, if you want to see us tier list the best comic books, the best comic book TV series, whatever you want to see us do, give us a mention, give us a like, give us a shout out, give us a comment. What words am I using now, Zane? I don't know. You do social media. I don't know what the popular kids like.
Well, here's one you do like.
Do us a talk tick.
You can always email us nerds.undisputed@gmail.com. Again, all relevant links will be in the description down below. You can catch my co-host on twitch.tv/gentlemanlygamer.
That is correct.
You can catch my YouTube channel, Zane Taicho, as always. Super. I think that's everything.
Is it Zane Taicho or is it Zane_Taicho?
Well, not on YouTube, but on all the socials, it's Zane_Taicho.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to clear that up so that nobody gets confused. You still should have gone with Champagne Zane. I'm sorry. Should have.
Well. Maybe that was already taken.
All right, guys.
Thanks for watching, and we will no doubt catch you on the next one.
Thanks very much, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.